Hello, I am Dr. Rashid Ahmed from the Department of Physics of Guwahati University of Science and Technology. In the subject of Literature Survey and Technical Report with the course code PHY 491, we are at the lecture number 8 and the topic is how to write body paragraphs for our academic writings. These academic writings may include writing an essay, a thesis or report. In today's lecture, we will learn that how body paragraphs can help us convey our observations or understanding or outcomes of our research. So we start with explaining what body paragraphs are and how they can help us in effective writing. Body paragraphs actually make a majority of an academic writing. For example, if you're writing a thesis, that most of your thesis will be composed of body paragraphs. But these body paragraphs have their own structure, like a structure of a thesis or any academic writing. They have their own structure, and this structure is composed of having an introduction for each paragraph. So each paragraph has its own introduction. I mean by introduction that whatever claim or whatever topic we are trying to explain in a body paragraph, we will first introduce that topic, and by this introduction we tell our audience that this is the claim we are making, and then later on, after making that claim, we will bring in the evidence for that claim and explain that evidence. So this part of the paragraph is called the body of the body paragraph, where we bring in some evidence for our claim, and after that evidence we make a conclusion so that we can tell our audience that now the claim is correct or not, and what are, in light of evidence, what are we have concluded. So you can see that each body paragraph has its own structure, and that's really important to understand in order to be an effective writer. So now we go on each of the component of a body paragraph and see how effectively we can write an introduction to a body paragraph, and then body it to the body paragraph, and then a conclusion to a body paragraph. At the end of this lecture, I will give you 2 examples of academic writing from the literature, where then you can identify in these paragraphs the introduction of the paragraph, the body of the paragraph, and then the conclusion of the paragraph. And then by this way you can practice your body paragraphs for any academic writing, and can effectively convey the message you want to give to the audience in any paragraph. Okay, so now we know that we will be mostly writing in our academic writings body paragraphs, and this is their structure. So let's understand one by one each part of the body paragraph. We start with the introduction. So in introduction of the body paragraph, you want to tell your audience that what is the claim, what is the topic of this paragraph, what you want to say. So this is done by introducing a topic sentence or inserting a topic sentence, and that topic sentence is usually at the beginning of the paragraph, but it's not necessary that you start your body paragraph with the topic sentence. But as I said, usually in academic writings we will start with the topic sentence, where we introduce what is the claim of that paragraph. So it should describe the main point of the paragraph. What's the main point? What we want to say? What is our claim? And if the one sentence is not enough for introducing our claim, then what we do, that we bring in 1 to 2 more sentences that are explanatory for the major or the main topic sentence. And with the help of these 1 to 2 sentences, we make clearer to the audience that what is our main point, what is our claim, what we want to say. And once this is understood, I think this is half job done, because you have made your audience, your readers, to think about what you are claiming. So once this is done, now you would like to go on and to bring in the evidence for your claim, and this is what we call the body of body paragraph. So we have made an introduction to our claim by topic sentence or sentences. So this is sort of introduction to our body paragraph. So now we have made this introduction. Next, we want to bring in evidence, the supporting evidence for our claim, and this is called the body of the body paragraph. This is done by giving usually a concrete example for the claim, if you have. So whatever claim you have made, whatever point you have made, and you want your readers, your audience, to think about that and to make it concrete, to make it to establish it, you need some examples if they are available. So you think about the examples and you give your reader an example that, okay, whatever I am saying, this is established with the help of these examples. So this is the evidence. But if you don't have examples, you can bring in some statistics, you can bring in some quotes or some other things, or even the observations, some logical points, whatever are appropriate for your claim to be more concrete, you bring in that evidence. So remember that every body paragraph must have a claim which you have introduced with the topic sentence, and then that claim is established, is made more authentic with the help of bringing in evidence. So that is done with the more or less few sentences. That depends upon how you are writing, or how well you are choosing your sentences and words. So it depends upon it, but usually these will be not more than 4 to 5 sentences which will bring in, or even less, 3 to 4 sentences which will bring in the evidence for your claim. Okay, once this has been done, then we come to the explanation. Now you have brought in the evidence, you have the topic, you have the claim, but some of the readers still have not taken your point. So you need to make an explanation. You need to give an explanation by connecting your evidence to your claim. So this explanation actually gives you the relationship between claim and examples, or some quotes or some statistics, so that the reader is now convinced. You make a convincing argument by explanation, and you may also rephrase the original topic sentences if needed. So you think that the reader or the audience are not very much convinced by the words you have chosen into the main topic sentence. So sometimes it's good, maybe you be aware of that, not making it redundant, but sometimes it's useful to rephrase it and bring in 1 or 2 more sentences to assert, to make the point, and to clarify the claim you have made in the paragraph. Okay, so now I will summarize before going to the conclusion of your sentence, of your paragraph. I will summarize all those points, all those sentences which you have to put in your body paragraph. So first thing is that you introduce your claim by writing a topic sentence, and you may write 1 or 2 or 3 sentences, but usually it's done with the help of just 1 sentence. And then you explain your claim by 1 to 2 explanatory topic sentences, and bring in the evidence for your claim. That's very necessary. And the last thing is that you conclude, you make a conclusion, that what is the conclusion. So you brought in the claim, you brought in the evidence, examples, quotes, statistics. you made an explanation by connecting the examples to your main claim, and at the end you now want to give conclusion that why you were right. What is the conclusion? You are right. You were right. Why you were making this? Why you were making that claim, and now what you will get out of it. So this is actually the structure of all the body paragraphs we write in our academic writings, and that's very important that you keep in mind this structure, and each time you write any body paragraph or each time you write any idea, to you keep in mind that it may have the structure explained over here, so that the reader or the audience can get your point. And on the other hand, I will also encourage you, whenever you are writing, you are reading some book or some literature, you must search for this structure in all the paragraphs. By this way, you will easily understand the main points of that paragraph or that paper. That will also help you understand faster and correctly of any academic writing. That if you search while you are reading, you search for what is the claim of that particular paragraph, of body paragraph, and then what were the evidences brought in to establish that claim, and what were the connections between examples in the claim, and what was the conclusion at the end that that writer has made. So now it's time to go for the examples, and I have selected 2 examples for you from the literature, and the first one is from the autobiography of Bertrand Russell, and that is written by Bertrand Russell actually, because it's an autobiography, and this is the very first paragraph of his book. I encourage you to read this. Bertrand Russell was a very famous philosopher in the history. So if you read his autobiography, you will come to know many interesting historical facts. So historical facts and other, it will help you to develop your understanding about the literature. But at the moment here, I have selected this paragraph for you, and in this paragraph, what we will do is to search for this structure, this body paragraph, the search for the structure we have explained. For example, we will search for the main claim of this paragraph, and then we will see if there are some evidences provided, and there was some explanation provided, and at the end what was the conclusion. So maybe first I read out for you what is this paragraph. The period from Bertrand Russell actually writes, the period from 1910 to 1914 was a time of transition. My life before 1910 and my life after 1914 were as sharply separated as Faust's life before and after he met Mephistopheles. I underwent a process of regeneration inaugurated by Ottoline Morel and continued by the war. It may seem curious that the war should rejuvenate anybody, but in fact it shook me out of my prejudices and made me think afresh on a number of fundamental questions. It also provided me with a new kind of activity for which I did not feel the staleness that beset me whenever I tried to return to mathematical logic. I have therefore got into the habit of thinking of myself as a non-supernatural Faust for whom Mephistopheles was represented by the Great War. So this is the paragraph, and now we have to look into and search for the structure we have already introduced. So if you look at the first sentence over here, the period from 1910 to 1914 was a time of transition. So if you look at this sentence, as I have made it here more explanatory, so this is kind of topic sentence, because Bertrand Russell have introduced the claim that this was the time of transition of his life. So this is the claim he has made. at the very beginning of a paragraph. So now, once you know that while reading that how the claim is made at the very beginning, so it's not necessary it's made at the very beginning. At the second example, we will see that it is not the case. But at the moment in this paragraph, you see that the claim by the Bertrand Russell about the transition in his life is made at the very beginning of a paragraph. So now, while reading a paragraph in this way, you know what's the main claim, what the message the writer wants to give you. Okay, so what's the next sentence then? The next sentence is actually an explanatory sentence where Bertrand Russell tells you that his life before 1910 and after 1914 were sharply separated because there was a transition. So he brings in an explanation that what by this transition he means. And Faust's life, Faust was a German philosopher or astrologist, and he compares his life with the Faust life before and after he met Mephistopheles, which was kind of devil character in Faust's life. So Bertrand Russell is comparing his life to the Faust life, where Faust life was also gone through the transition period when he met some devil. Okay, so this is also in literature where there are many writings, fictions about the Faust lives where he met some devil and made an exchange for knowledge and his soul. So he said devil that he will give his soul to him if the devils give him some knowledge for, or serve him for some years in giving him some knowledge. So in the same way as Faust made a bargain with devil by giving his soul to him, and in return he got knowledge from that devil, Bertrand Russell is saying that in the same way his life has also gone through the transition. But probably at the moment you don't know that what Faust and devils has a connection. So you had to go to the literature and see that what's Faust and Mephistopheles has the connection, or the devil has the connection. But at this point, Bertrand Russell has very beautifully explained his claim that in which way his life has made a transition. And now we are curious. I mean, look at the very good example Bertrand Russell has given here by comparing the transition of his life with the very famous Faust's transitions in life. That Faust was very satisfied with, although he got a successful life, but was not satisfied with his knowledge he had at that time, and he was not enjoying his life because of the less knowledge. That's why he made a pact or a bargain with the devil and gave him his soul, promised him to give his soul forever if the knowledge is given in return to him. So we now will look into the rest of the sentences and see how Bertrand Russell's life has made transition in the same way. So the supporting evidence you can see here for his claim that he has made a transition in a similar way as Faust has made. He says that I underwent a process of regeneration inaugurated by Othline Morel, who was his friend, and continued by the war. So he went through to the war period, and he seems like that war has kind of devil character played in his life, as he explains in the following sentences, that it may seem curious that the war should rejuvenate anybody. By regeneration means a fresh starting of his thinking. But in fact, it shook me out of the prejudices and made me think afresh on a number of fundamental questions. So on the one hand, he compares the war with the devil, and on the other hand, he says that like Faust got the knowledge from the devil, I got knowledge from the war, the miseries of the war, and all the evils war brings it with itself, he regenerated from that and got a fresh thinking, and his thinking was completely changed. So it also provided me with the new kind of activity for which I did not feel the staleness that beset me whenever I tried to return to mathematical logic. So on here he claims that this war was kind of blessings in disguise for him, because that changed his mind and way of thinking. So this was kind of supporting evidence when he says that the original claim was that his life has made a transition like Faust's life, and then in the supporting sentences he explains how this had happened to him. And in the end he makes a conclusion where he says that I have therefore got into the habit of thinking of myself as a non-supernatural Faust. So I am a Faust-like, but I am not a supernatural, for whom Mephistopheles or the devil was represented by the Great War. So here he explains the conclusion, that what's the conclusion he made here. So I have made it up for you, this paragraph, where you can see that what were the claims, what were the supporting evidences, and what were then the conclusion by the Bertrand Russell's one paragraph. And now it's time for the next masterpiece from Richard Feynman, and it's a little bit more technical and related to the physics, about his writing in famous Feynman lectures on physics in volume 1, the harmonic oscillator. So he has written this in one of his lectures about the harmonic oscillator, this paragraph. It's a bit lengthier, but in a moment I will tell you that where is the claiming or the topic sentence, where is the supporting or explanatory sentences, and then what are the conclusions. So first again let's read out this paragraph, that in the study of physics usually the course is divided into series of subjects such as mechanics, electricity, optics, etc., and one studies one subject after the other. For example, this course has so far dealt mostly with mechanics, but a strange thing occurs again and again. The equations which appear in different fields of physics and even in other sciences are often almost exactly the same, so that many phenomena have analogs in these different fields. To make the simplest example, the propagation of sound waves in many ways analogous to the propagation of light waves. If we study acoustics in great detail, we discover that much of the work is the same as it would be if we were studying optics in great detail. So the study of phenomena in one field may permit an extension of our knowledge in another field. It is best to realize from the first that such extensions are possible, for otherwise one might not understand the reason for spending a great deal of time and energy on what appears to be only small part of mechanics. So this was a paragraph by Feynman when he was trying to explain harmonic oscillator. And let's go into the sentences of this paragraph and find out the structure of this paragraph, and if it fits with what we have already learned about the body paragraphs. So in this, the first sentence is actually an explanatory sentence where he says that in the study of physics usually the course is divided into series of subjects such as mechanics, electricity, and one studies one subject after the other. It's not a topic sentence, it's not the claim of the paragraph. That's what I wanted to convey to you, that it's a kind of explanation about the things already exist. So it's not the major claim he is making. So again you see that it's not in the beginning that the topic sentence is brought in. It's just the background explanation which he brought in first, which was needed to understand the claim he will be making in the next sentence. And what's the claim then? The claim is that the topic sentence is, for example, this course has so far dealt with mostly with mechanics, but a strange thing, this is the claim, but a strange thing occurs again and again. The equations which appear in different fields of physics and even in other sciences are often almost exactly the same. So this is the claim he is making here, so that many phenomena have analogs in these different fields. So the claim of Richard Feynman is that same things in different shapes appear in different fields of physics, not even physics but different sciences. And if you understand one of them correctly in the simplest of ways, it will help you to understand other similar structures in different fields. So this was the claim, but for that claim he had to bring in some explanation in before. But once he has made now the claim, he has to bring in some evidence for that if it really happens. So here he beautifully brings in the supporting evidence with an example from mechanics, where he says that, to take the simplest example, the propagation of sound waves is in many ways analogous to the propagation of light waves. So it's a wonderful example he's giving here. If we study acoustics in great detail, we discover that much of the work is the same as it would be if we were studying optics in great detail. So you see that after making a claim, in order to establish his claim, he has brought in the evidence with the help of a very concrete example, and then now a reader is almost completely convinced that okay, this is the case, because you cannot really deny that light waves and sound waves are very different in their treatment in physics. So he brought in the evidence for his claim. And now we also, by reading in this way, we also understand. So now you might have already got an impression that if you read in this way, if you write in this way, your message, your claim will be conveyed to the readers in the best possible way. Okay, so once again, if the support has been given, now the time is for the conclusion. And at the end he makes a conclusion. So the study of phenomena in one field may permit an extension of our knowledge in another field. So that's the conclusion. So he made a claim, he brought in evidence, and now he makes a conclusion, and a very nice conclusion, which is a message for anybody's learning process, where you think that understanding one thing correctly and effectively will help you understanding so many other things. It is the best to realize from the first that such extensions are possible, for otherwise one might not understand the reason for spending a great deal of time and energy on what appears to be only a small part of mechanics. So he motivates here as well, so that if you understand these basic things quite well, they will also help you understanding other phenomena in other fields of physics, other parts of physics, and not even other parts of physics, but also other parts of science, or even some other daily life things. If you understand these basic phenomena well, that are always helpful. So we have seen in today's lecture that how we can write body paragraphs, and how effectively we can write them, and if we write them well, or even read them well. So because you first need to read well, and then this reading well will give you the understanding which you need for writing something. But once you write, the major part of your academic writing, for example the thesis you would write, is the body paragraphs, and each body paragraph has its own structure, and that structure is the introducing the topic by topic sentences, and then making an evidence, supporting evidences with the examples and quotes and statistics, and then at the end making some explanations, and at the end making conclusions, better conclusion messages for audience to take with from that paragraph. With this, I thank you all.